Welcome to Second Wind with Joyce Buford, a program for and about women. Joyce Buford is a certified coach who has a passion for helping women who need a second wind. Joyce is the creator of Uncover Your Hidden Genius, a program that will help you live a life of greater purpose, fulfillment, and ease. As a certified coach, she studied directly with her mentor, Jack Canfield, author of the Chicken Soup book series, where she served as an assistant to his training program. Through her study with many prestigious coaches and mentors, she has created a powerful program that has positively impacted hundreds of people. On today's program, Joyce and her guest will help you learn how to get your second wind. Now here's our host, Joyce Buford.
Good morning. Welcome to Second Wind. It's always a thrill knowing that you're here with me and that we are going to have a fabulous program. You know, this time of year is when we start, I don't know about you, but I'm going to speak about myself. I start anticipating the holiday season that's just around the corner. And so that holiday season for me means lots of good food, lots of partying, lots of drinking, lots of happiness. And I'm kind of like, oh no, the rest of the year I try to really watch that. So I am so happy with our guest today because she is the expert that's going to be able to help us through those holiday seasons maybe, and also just give us a plan so that we can handle our everyday life. Oonagh Duncan is a multi-award-winning fitness expert specializing in helping women in their 40s get lean, strong, and healthy. Her unique approach has resulted in international media attention, speaking engagements, and most important, 5-star reviews from the thousands of people she has changed their lives through her programs. Oonagh is the founder and head trainer for Fit Feels Good Incorporated, which recognizes that fitness is not about a number on the scale, but about feeling good. Because if you want to reach your highest potential and generally live your healthiest life, it starts with feeling good right now, today. So welcome, Oonagh Duncan. We are so thrilled to have you.
Thank you so much.
My list
Thanks, I'm
is
so
long.
excited to be here.
Well, we're glad that you're here, and I'm looking forward to the wisdom that you have, because I have a feeling that most of my listening audience is 40 and above, but if there are younger ones, then all the better. They get to start earlier with this body change, the healthier approach to living. So you really start out with healthy versus weight loss. It's important in your program.
Absolutely. I mean, the fact is, Joyce, you can losing weight in and of itself is not that hard. What's hard is keeping it off and doing it in a healthy way, right? And weight loss doesn't necessarily, I mean, you can lose weight theoretically by losing a limb. It's not that we want to lose weight. It's not that we want to have less impact on the earth. It's that we want to have a better body composition. We want to feel healthier. We want to feel lighter. We want to have more energy, and we want to feel confident. And so that's sort of, I'm working on a healthy habits-based approach to that.
Yeah. Well, I'm always interested because now that I am over 50, I am and over 60, I am constantly confronted with the challenges of maintaining a nice looking body. I am not an exerciser, so let me confess right now, just get it out on the table. I do not exercise, and I know that's bad. That's bad. But I need to change that. I do far better in trying to eat healthier, but I know it's a you need both in your daily schedule, don't you?
Well, absolutely you do, but I guess it depends on what your priority is. In order to lose weight, it's actually kind of smarter to focus on the nutrition. That is going to be the biggest sort of bang for your buck as far as reducing body fat. However, exercise is what's going to help you keep that weight loss. So when you hear people who go through the weight loss cycle of sort of losing 10 pounds and they gain it back a little bit more, that's often because they haven't integrated the exercise. It is true that, like, for example, you can't escape the idea of calories in, calories out, which is sort of a not trendy idea right now. You know, we haven't really talked about calories a lot since the 80s. You know, remember with like Tab Cola? That's when people were talking about calories or stuff like that. But now people don't really talk about calories, but you can't escape the fact that if you want to reduce your body fat, you have to burn more calories than you consume. And so a lot of times people have this idea, well, that means I have to diet and then I have to exercise to burn off the calories. But the thing is that exercising to burn off calories is way less efficient than just not eating those calories in the first place.
Oh.
So, for example, you know, if you ate a side order of fries at a restaurant versus a salad, in order to burn off just the side order of fries, an average-sized person would have to go on an elliptical machine for 2 hours.
Oh, my gosh.
Right? And given that most people, when you ask them, you know, what's preventing you from getting in shape, they say, well, I just don't have the time. So then I say, well, then, you know, just don't eat those fries. No one's got time to spend 2 hours on an elliptical machine. Am I right?
Oh, right. Oh, the thought of that just makes me shudder.
Exactly. So, Joyce, you're not actually in a bad position. If you prefer to focus on the nutrition for now, then I would totally support you in that. But I would also, you know, in a couple of months, give you a little bit of a poke saying, all right, Joyce, we got the nutrition down. It's time to start working on the exercise habit.
So what do you, when you say nutrition, what sort of nutrition are you thinking of? Can you share what that might look like for us?
Totally. And you know what? Here's the thing about it. I think that it is so much more simple than the sort of fitness industrial complex would have people believe. I think if people are making you believe this is complicated, it's because they're trying to sell you something. It is not complicated. The first action that I tell all my clients to do is just fill half of your plate with vegetables. That's all you got to do. That is like, if you fill half of your plate with vegetables, it is almost impossible to overeat. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one binges on broccoli. And if you just make it a vegetable focus, so for example, a lot of my clients, the other thing they have is sort of snacking or like cravings at night.
Yes.
And so one of the rules I tell them is, listen, if you're not hungry for vegetables, you're not actually hungry. That's not hunger, that's a craving. If you are physically hungry, then broccoli looks good. If you're not physically hungry, then you kind of want a little certain something, you want ice cream. That's a craving. And usually if it's a craving, you can sort of distract yourself. You can ride through it. It's not a physical need for fuel.
Well, okay. I have craving. You say you ride yourself through it? What do you mean?
So there's a few different techniques for craving. So the way that I approach this is with a habit-based approach. And so, you know, with a habit, you've got a trigger, a behavior, and a reward. And so every time you execute that behavior, you get the reward, which reinforces the trigger. You know, it's kind of a loop, right?
Yes,
so if you're having a craving, there's a few ways we could approach it. We could first get rid of the trigger. So, for example, I've got a lot of clients who find that they get cravings once, you know, they finally sit down and to watch TV in the evenings after dinner. That's when their craving hits. That's really common. So I've had clients that interrupted that trigger by, instead of sitting down to watch TV at the end of the evening, they take their iPad to bed with them and watch in bed. Do you see what I mean? So it was like not sitting on the couch. And yes, that's a screen in bed. But for now, we're just trying to deal with the interruption of the trigger.
Right.
You know, so and then some other clients had, you know, a trigger of drinking with a certain friend that they would go out for drinks with. And so now they interrupted the trigger by saying, okay, I'm going to meet that friend, but instead we're going to meet for brunch instead of dinner.
Oh, and that's good.
You know, so if you just interrupt the pattern, then you can, if you eliminate the trigger, then you won't get the behavior. The other thing that you can do is sort of experiment with that craving. What is the reward you're trying to fulfill? So, for example, if you feel like, you know, if your craving is for a glass of wine, and your reward is that sort of physiological sort of relaxation, your shoulders sort of drop away from your ears kind of feeling, then the homework that I would give my clients is to say, okay, what else in your life gives you that feeling? Does a warm bath give you that feeling? Does a massage give you that feeling? Does, a nap or like meditation and it does take some work. I mean, that is really the work of weight loss, is not being on an elliptical for 2 hours. That's just busy work. The real work is figuring out what are my triggers? What are the rewards? And what is a more health positive way I can get that same reward?
Yeah. Well, do you ever, this is so funny. I was in a drugstore the other day and I was looking for something. And so I asked, and I was something to help me with dieting at a health store. And he said, "Oh, do you have cravings?" And I said, "Yes." So he recommended something else on the shelf for cravings. Do you say avoid those types of suppressants, or are they okay to take?
Yeah, I mean, that could be a good short-time measure. I've had people who, for example, you're trying to quit smoking and then they start chewing gum. That is like a transference type of thing. And it's way better. This is like a harm reduction thing. And I'm saying, great, if it takes chewing gum for you to quit smoking, that's fantastic. That's great. However, it still isn't dealing with the root problem of what is this need that I am trying to fulfill.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so I think that's fine if that's moving you along the spectrum towards a healthier thing. But I really do think that the work that a lot of people got to do is figuring out what is this thing that I need. And for a lot of people, it's that they need to practice some stress reduction.
Oh.
And it's sort of, you know what I mean? And I really think that, especially for women in our demographic, 40s and older, there are so many lifestyle factors. I mean, there are a lot of women in our age who are a sandwich generation. They're taking care of parents and kids.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Plus, they're at the peak of their career or making career transitions. There's finance. There's so many things that are a factor. And so it is no wonder that these women and ourselves are looking for a nice glass of wine and maybe a little bit of a treat at the end of the day, because it is not an easy day.
Right. Yeah. That's so true. So how do you want us to handle stress? Because it's all around us. I mean, it's like consuming us these days.
It is. And so, you're not going to love my answer, Joyce. But
oh, dear.
Well, it's exercise is one of the most commonly prescribed things for stress. I mean, if you could bottle all the things that exercise does for you as far as stress reduction, reducing the risk of depression, of, those feel-good hormones, of, keeping you lucid as you get older. It's amazing for your joints. It's amazing for your skin. Like, if you could bottle all of that, Big Pharma would have a mic drop moment. Like, we would be scrambling to get it. But the thing is that it is hard to sort of just build that consistency to start to get those. But honestly, going for a walk, as much as you won't want to, it is the best thing you can do for your stress reduction. Right. And then there's also things like, surrounding yourself with people that are kind and funny that you love, treating yourself well, having positive, self-thoughts, things like that. And these are all the things that you need to practice. And I honestly believe that sort of work is much more important than counting calories and going on the elliptical and carbs, like all these things that you read about, all these clickbait things and all those, things at the grocery store on how to reduce cravings. I think those are all distractions.
Yeah. Does it make a difference if you're walking outside or on a treadmill?
Well, if you're outside, you will have a little bit of more variance in your what am I talking about? The topography of the land. Yeah. So you can sort of replicate that at being at an incline of 2 on a treadmill.
Yeah.
And that's often easier for people. So, for example, Joyce, I don't know if you know this about me, but I used to be completely sedentary. I hated the idea of moving. I was a smoker, passionate smoker. And so I sort of came to this stuff late. And so I completely get it when people are like, actually, I'd really rather die than exercise. I completely get it because I was there. And how I originally got into it was I built a habit loop where I rewarded myself, where I would get on the treadmill and I would walk. And if I was on the treadmill, then I got to watch trashy TV. I remember I watched Maury Povich.
Reward.
Yeah, I did. And that was, and it was such a guilty pleasure. And that I only allowed myself if I was on the treadmill. And that's what started to reinforce my exercise habit, because I was looking for the next installment of, is he the father? Then I would get on the treadmill and start walking. And then one day I was like, maybe I'll try jogging for just a minute, just until the next commercial or, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's sort of how I built up to being, Canada's top fitness trainer.
Well, I'm curious, if you did come to this fitness life late in life, what was your moment that said, I got to do this or not, or die, or whatever it is? Whatever it is, because
so for me, it wasn't an or die. It was the moment that I had just had enough of being uncomfortable every time I sat down because my pants were digging into my belly, of seeing pictures of myself and thinking, that can't possibly be me. That is not what I look like, is it? This is a bad picture. Someone tell me it's a bad picture. Of, loving all clothes. And I'd be like, oh, this is so great. And then I try it on myself and think, oh my God, that's not what it looked like before. That I didn't feel like, and also just feeling like I wasn't presenting to the world the person that I knew that I was. I felt like my outside didn't match my inside.
Oh, I so get that. I so get that.
Right, you get that? Yeah. And I just, and so, I went on all these diets. Joyce, I sent away for, this was a while ago, so it's when you sent away for things. And I sent away for this green algae that I was supposed to take on an empty stomach 3 times a day that was going to kickstart blah, blah, all this pseudoscience that you really believe in wholeheartedly when you're desperate to make a change. And I signed up for gym memberships that were really expensive because I thought if it was really expensive and I can't afford it, then I'll definitely go because I'll feel bad if I don't. And I didn't. I just felt horrible when I didn't go. I tried all these things and every time getting really hopeful this was going to be the change, and then it wasn't. And then just, there came a day when I was like, I'm sick of it. I am sick of all of this. And I just, decided to go for a walk. And that was it. Baby steps.
That is awesome. Because you've just described every listener out there. We really, all of us play these mind games until we see ourselves in the mirror, and then we go, oh my God, this is certainly not who I feel like inside.
No. Yeah.
We're young and vivacious, and we maybe have great dreams or something, and then we look at the mirror and we go, who is that?
Right.
It's really shocking to us. Now, one of the things that I'm experiencing, but it is so prevalent, and it's one of those magic pills again. There is so much stuff out there for the bulging belly. What do you recommend that we actually do? Because we can buy everything on the website, and nothing works. So what is, I have not bought everything, but I do know so much of that is just a hype they're selling us now. So what is the true story? How do we start working on that?
Right. Okay. So specifically for belly fat. So the first thing I want to say is that, if you are over 40 years old and you're struggling with belly fat, for one thing, that is perfectly normal. And I guess the first thing you need to know is it is normal and healthy to have a certain amount of belly fat. When you see pictures on fitness magazines of specifically a woman who's got 6-pack abs, that is not healthy. In fact, and because I used to train those people who do those magazine covers, they, don't drink water for 2 days prior to their shoot and all these things. I mean, the image that you have in your mind of healthy is probably A, not realistic, or B, healthy. So belly fat, especially for a woman in perimenopause or menopause, is healthy. So that's the first thing you got to keep in mind. Second thing is that if you are unhappy with the amount of belly fat that you have, if your belly, if you say your waist circumference is over, say, 32 inches, then you could probably lose some belly fat in order to get optimal health, and you can absolutely do it. It is it's very common to have a waist circumference higher than that, but that doesn't mean you have to accept it. So the reasons are that you have that are estrogen, right? As estrogen decreases, belly fat will increase. And that makes sense if you think about male and female patterns of holding fat. You know, when women are younger, they'll tend to hold their fat in their bum, in their thighs, in their breasts, that sort of thing. And then and men will tend to get a beer belly. Can you picture that?
Yeah.
So now, when you get older and our estrogen decreases, then what happens is the fat that's on our body will go towards that male pattern because we've got less of that estrogen. So it will start to go towards the beer belly sort of pattern, which is what we would associate with the male pattern. Yes. And that can be subcutaneous fat. So the real, when I'm talking about healthy versus unhealthy fat, the very much more unhealthy fat is the fat that you can't pinch. So right now, if you reach down, you can pinch some fat on your belly. That's the healthier fat. But if you picture like a beer belly, you can't really pinch it, right? It's kind of hard. That means that the fat is around the internal organs. And so that is the less healthy fat. So if you've got more of that kind of fat, then I would say it becomes a little bit more of a priority to reduce your waist girth and get on with it. So now you're saying, okay, well, then how do we do that? So there's a few things that you want to do. One is strength training, which is really counterintuitive for a lot of people. They think that they have to do a lot of cardio, but actually Harvard Medical School has done a study, and they found that with older adults, the most effective way to get rid of belly fat was strength training 3 times a week.
Well, what's strength training? What does that look like?
Yeah. So that's like lifting weights, or I don't really do weights. I do a resistance band. So basically what we're doing is we're counteracting something that's called muscle sarcopenia. As you get older, your muscle mass will naturally decline. That just happens as you get older. Now, it's one of those, if you don't use it, you lose it. And so what we've got to do is we've got to train our muscle by doing strength training, and therefore we won't lose that muscle mass. The reason we want the muscle mass is because that keeps our metabolism higher. Muscle burns more calories when you're at rest. So the more muscle you have in your body, the more calories you're going to burn. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's one of the things is you got to do strength training. The other thing is you got to realize that because of your muscle mass decreasing and a whole bunch of bodily processes slowing down, you just don't need as many calories as you did when you were younger. A lot of us have been serving ourselves the same portions just automatically, kind of without thinking, for the last 20, 40 years. Yeah. And the thing is, you need less food as you get older. So it's not a bad idea to sort of do a hard reset and think, okay, and really connect to your actual appetite rather than your habitual, I always have, however much, a plate of pasta. Yeah. Yeah. And so one of the other, so it's reducing your portion sizes, connecting to true hunger, adding the strength training, and movement throughout the day. The more you can get up, specifically, a lot of us spend a lot of the day sitting. If you can get up at least every hour and move around, even just a little bit, just even going to the bathroom is going to help wake up all of the biggest muscles in your body, which is in the lower body. They go to sleep, your metabolism crashes. Yeah. So we want to keep the metabolism elevated. We want to keep moving. We want to keep functional. And that all of that is going to help reduce that belly. And that's what I do in my program. I sort of lead people through a very specific process of resetting the appetite, of regulating the hormones, of regulating blood sugar, and getting them moving in a gentle sort of way.
Now, you say you use as your weight device a band, so it's like a jump rope with handles, right?
Yeah, it would look like, but a thicker one. And it won't be so long. Yeah, but that's pretty much exactly what it looks like. Yeah. Yeah.
Where does it come in here? I've heard 2 things addressed with me: core, strengthening my core, and through using the bicycle. Tell me how that works.
Yeah, go ahead. So the bicycle is good because it's a lower impact on the joints. So if you have any joint issues, then that can be a way to get your heart rate elevated without exacerbating any joint issues. However, there's a couple of reasons I don't love it, because A, you're still sitting. And one of the biggest problems is people spend too much time sitting. It doesn't activate your core at all because you're sitting or your glutes. And so it can, keeps your hip flexors short, which can lead to back problems. And you're just not using as much of your body. So unless you do have joint problems, I'm always going to get people up and on their feet. So, and then what was the other thing you said?
The core.
Oh, core training. So core training is absolutely, it's critical for sort of back health and for postural improvements. However, to reduce belly fat, you can't spot reduce. Core traigoing will do nothing for your belly fat. Core training is great for functional.
Oh, my goodness.
No. Yeah, the only thing it's going to do that's going to help you with belly fat is an overall deficit in calories, which you're going to get through portion control and eating tons of vegetables, and strength training.
Strength training.
Overall
that
caloric
is
burn
so interesting.
And strength training. It's really interesting because a lot of people, they love the idea of spot training. Oh, can I just work on the area under my arms, or can I just work on my core, or that sort of stuff? And the deal is you can strengthen the muscles specifically under your arms, or you can strengthen your core muscles, but it will do nothing for the fat over top of those muscles. The fat over top of those muscles will decrease when you are burning more calories than you're consuming. And that will happen if you have more muscles, and if you are moving, and if you are eating fewer calories by choosing vegetables and eating less.
Oh, my goodness. I just might as well start over.
Oh, my gosh. Well, please don't be discouraged. So you don't have to be. And like I said, this is so much easier than what most people think.
Yeah.
All you got to do is, and the other big problem, I think, Joyce, is that, and I think this is why people get overwhelmed, is they hear maybe me going on and on about, muscle sarcopenia and blah, 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 Harvard. And really, all you got to do is next time you sit down to a meal, fill half your plate with vegetables. That's all you got to do. Next time you sit down to answer email, set your timer to go off in 50 minutes and then get up and go to the bathroom. Yeah. If you repeated those just two actions, filling half of every plate with vegetables and getting up and moving around once an hour, you have already started. And this amazing trickle effect that is going to impact your body. And I know that people think, that's not going to do any difference. What's the point? And it's that all or nothing mentality that is keeping most of North America doing nothing.
I just hate to break you here, but we are going to have to go to break. And aren't you all loving this? I mean, Oonagh's just got the answers for us. We'll be back. We are going to hear more answers.
Transformational coach, motivational speaker, and author Joyce Buford returns after this short break.
Would you like to know how to bring more ease to all the decisions you need to make in life? Knowing your core values is the first step in Joyce's free live masterclass. You'll discover your top 5 core values in as little as 45 minutes. Join her now at freegiftfromjoyce.com. Close your eyes and imagine living your life without limits. Where would you go? Who would you meet? What would you do? During an Uncover Your Hidden Genius session, you will discover what's keeping you from living your life with purpose, passion, and fulfillment of your potential. You'll get a clear vision of the steps you need to take to uncover your hidden genius so that you can live a life without limits. Sessions can be done over the phone, Skype, or in person. Find out more at www.joycebufordempowers.com or by calling 903-287-0747.
Welcome back to this segment of Second Wind. Joyce Buford, the creator of Uncover Your Hidden Genius, continues in this segment to share insight that will help you live a life of greater purpose, fulfillment, and ease. Now here's our host, author and coach, Joyce Buford.
Welcome back. I am so glad that you're here today because Oonagh Duncan has given us some fabulous information that we can put into our lives instantly today. It's called vegetables, and it's called a short walk, and it's called get up after 50 minutes. So all of these things are things that I'm going to try and do today, and I hope you are too. But there's another area that I ask about, and she also suggested, is that one of the most stressing things that we experience, other than the stress itself, is that we just don't get enough sleep. So how important is sleep for us, Oonagh?
Well, it's pretty critical. And, my area of expertise is specifically weight loss. So I always kind of come at it from the impression that my clients' goals are almost always going to be weight loss. And if they're not getting enough sleep, Joyce, it is so hard to get the results that they want, even if they're eating the food that they're supposed to do and they're doing the workouts. Because, I get a lot of sort of type A personalities, and they're like, I've got all my food pre-prepped, I've got my hardcore workouts, and I'm not seeing any results. And when I say, how much sleep do you get? And they're telling me 5 hours a night or whatever. And I'm like, that's the problem. Because the thing is, if you're not sleeping, you are going to have elevated cortisol in your body. And I'm sure your clients have heard a little bit about cortisol and how it relates to belly fat, but just very quickly. Basically, cortisol is that flight or fight hormone that happens when you have an acute stress moment, And for our ancestors, this is really useful if you had to run away from a saber-toothed tiger or survive a famine or something like that. It's really useful for our body to shut down all non-essential functions and hoard fat so that we can have this energy reserve to fight the famine or the tiger or whatever. And that's what cortisol does. But it's not useful for us today when our stress factor is that, our boss yelled at us or that sort of thing. For us to retain belly fat to deal with those situations is not at all helpful. So we still have this ancient, programming that's what happens. And if you are not sleeping, your body thinks, well, she's probably not sleeping because there is an acute stressor. And therefore, we should probably hoard body fat so she can deal with it. So she's got this energy. So that's number one. Number two is it makes you feel drunk. And this is a scientifically proven fact. There are so many people who will say, oh, no, I'm fine on 5 hours sleep, when there have been studies that show even those that believe they are fine are really not fine. In fact, their processing time and everything like that is about the same as if they were legally drunk. And they're just as likely to have a car crash, by the way. And when you're drunk, do you make great choices about food?
No.
No, you don't. So you're less likely to make good choices about food. You're also going to have cravings and munchies because your body is starved for energy, and it's going to be looking for high energy, high calorie, sugary, fatty foods in order to fuel that energy that it should have got while you were sleeping. It also makes you really unlikely to work out because you're tired. So this is it's basically a perfect storm for retaining body fat and specifically belly fat if you are not getting enough sleep. So we'll say a little bit about how much sleep we should be getting. Everyone should be getting at least 7 hours of sleep. And then again, that's even if you think you're fine on less, you probably aren't. You should probably just treat yourself to 7 hours of sleep. And you want those 7 hours to be consistent. And I'm talking about even on the weekends. Get up at the same time as you do on weekdays. And I know it's really tempting. A lot of people think they'll catch up on their sleep on weekends. But what you're doing is you're just creating an erratic sleep schedule, and you're reducing the quality of sleep you're going to have consistently. So every single day, you have a ritual. I go to bed at 10, and I get up at 6 or whatever your schedule is going to be. And you want to have sort of the wind down routine. And you've probably heard all this stuff, screens about an hour beforehand, reduce the lighting, sort of think calming thoughts, that sort of stuff. And then what happens for most of my clients is that they're okay getting to sleep, but then they wake up in the night and then they can't get back to sleep. Does that sound familiar?
Yep, I've done that.
Yeah. So here's the deal. Here's the rule when that happens, because it will happen to everyone. You'll give yourself 20 minutes to lie in bed and kind of think all your stressy thoughts that always seem way worse at 3 a.m. than they really are. 20 minutes. Yeah. And if you haven't been able to get yourself back to sleep after 20 minutes, you're going to get up and you are going to do something else. So you could go and give yourself a snack if you want. Something with magnesium might help you get back to sleep. So something like a banana
Yeah.
Don't go and check your email or your phone. You could do some reading. So another quiet activity. And then you can see if you can get yourself back to sleep. But basically, don't give yourself any more than 20 minutes of tossing and turning. Get up, have some magnesium, and reset after that. So that's another.
You bring
sleep.
up a good point with the magnesium. I was having cramps in my legs. Also, I was having the sleep issue. And somebody said you need to take magnesium before you go to bed. Actually, they actually suggested I do it as part of my bed ritual, just because my legs were really cramping, and I'd had some varicose vein work done and so forth, which could have exacerbated that. But anyway, it was just amazing the difference it did for me. Got rid of the cramps for sure. And then I slept better. But there is another thing. I mean, the stress seems to be always part of our baggage these days.
Yeah.
But if a woman is not sleeping well, she really needs to make sure, and perhaps she sleeps alone, so she doesn't have anybody to tell her, but she really needs to make sure she doesn't have sleep apnea, which is a major contributor. And, so I'm on that CPAP machine, although I refused for years because I'm very vain, and I thought I didn't want all that contraption on my face. And but the rewards of a good night's sleep is like, oh my gosh, I've just come from heaven. To have actually slept that long, that deep. Because what you do when you keep waking up is you don't go deep enough for your body to get that benefit. So
that's right.
There you go. I'm standing on my soapbox for making sure you don't have sleep apnea, which seems to be very prevalent these days.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so critical. And if you are an exerciser, when you're actually exercising is not when the good stuff happens. Exercise is basically a stress, but it's a what doesn't kill you makes you stronger kind of stress. So you're basically stressing yourself during the exercise, and then when you recover from the exercise, your muscles build back bigger and stronger, and your heart gets stronger. That happens in the recovery, also known as the sleep. So if you're not allowing yourself that sleep, then you are negating a lot of the positive benefits that you get from being a mover.
Yeah. One of the routines that I had that I've gotten out of the walking. I have a dog that loves me dearly, and so she's my partner. And I would my mother instinct would kick in more so to take her walking than to benefit me. It was all about her. And within the last 2 years, she's lost her eyesight. So it's very difficult to walk with her now. So I've used that as my excuse. But you have really planted it back in my heart that I have got to do something with the walking bit. Whatever the excuse is, go get another puppy, get a sister for my dog Moo or whatever. But I need to get out there. Yeah.
Well, Joyce, you're bringing up a really good point in that, I'm going on and on about, you finger wagging, you got to sleep, you got to exercise, you got to eat your vegetables. And I think people already know this, but they don't know how to make themselves actually do it. And I think that what you've given us is a really good clue on how to actually do that. And that is having accountability and social support. Because the deal is we will let ourselves down all the time, but we won't let down someone else or a dog, someone that we love.
Oh, yeah.
So for you, maybe it's going to be a matter of committing to a walking group or to meeting a friend for a walking date or another puppy, or the more people and the more social accountability you can get involved, the more, and this is statistics, with exercise, with accountability and social support, you are 600% more likely to stay consistent. If you do the stuff as a group. And I know that, like I said, Joyce, I used to be a complete non-exerciser smoker. I was also way too cool for school and would never participate in gym. And I thought it was all very embarrassing. And, I would have rather died than being caught trying exercising because I was really awkward at it. So the thought of doing anything with the group was horrendous. But now I know no one cares what you look like. They're all busy thinking about what they look like.
Mm-hmm.
And B, it is the best thing you can do for yourself to actually get moving consistently, is join a group of some kind.
Yeah. Something that,
and that's,
with accountability. I personally love the dog walking thing because my life is so erratic. Making another appointment just kind of sends me over the edge. But with Moo, I could go anytime. We always had that date every night before bed.
That's great. That is fantastic.
Yeah. So now it's hard for me to believe and to visualize you as a smoking lady not wanting to do exercise, because when I go to your website, which is www.fitfeelsgood.com, I see a totally energized, attractive, thin a woman there. And so I'm like, this does not connect for me. But tell us about your program that you do over the internet, which is where you offer your program, right?
Yeah. And this is why, one of the reasons my program works so well is because it is a group program that we all do live together. So you do get that social accountability and support, but without ever having to leave your house. You can fit it into your schedule. You know what I mean? So it does reduce a lot of the barriers that prevent people from, signing up for some sort of local group. So basically what it is called the 28-Day Transformation Challenge, and it's specifically for women of our age, right? So I give you all the meal plans, and I give you a workout plan, and I give you tons of support and accountability personally. So basically on the first day, we start with a cleanse. And what that does is it's going to eliminate any sort of, if you have any addictions to sugar or refined carbohydrates, it's going to completely reset your appetite. So a lot of people, they notice even towards the end of the first week that they just don't feel like they need as much food as they used to. And the cravings are gone because what I give you is a dietitian-designed meal plan that keeps your blood sugar level. So you don't have those cycles of being like stuffed and then starving a few hours later and then stuffed and then starving. You kind of just always have this feeling of just being satisfied. Like I just ate, but I would be totally fine putting on a bathing suit, which is not a feeling a lot of North Americans know, right? Because we're used to being always kind of a little bit over full or feeling really crazy. So that's one thing, and that's eliminated. And the program is a progressive program. So with the nutrition, which I will say most people who do the program, they just start with the nutrition. But for those that are ready for the exercise as well, it's a progressive exercise program. So we start with yin yoga, which is basically just really gentle stretching. And then by the end, you're doing like timed CrossFit competitions with me. So it really takes you on this incredible journey. And I know that for some people, they're like, whatever, that's not for me. But I show how that level of intensity is completely customizable for each individual. So I have one of the hard workouts where I'm, jumping around, and I have my assistant there with me who is doing the whole thing holding onto a chair. So she's working at her highest level of intensity.
Oh, yes.
I'm working at my highest level of intensity. We're both getting the metabolic benefits, but we're working completely, according to our level.
Right.
And so that's the sort of kind of individualization and that I offer. And then also in the Facebook group, you can tag me and say, hey, my wrist hurts when I do push-ups. What can I do? And then I will get back to you and say, hey, so-and-so, here's a million different options where you can work the exact same muscles in a way that works for you. So that's why it's so much better than doing, say, a YouTube where you're just kind of left on your own. You have a multi-award-winning trainer telling you how to customize the program specifically for you.
Right.
Yeah.
So do most of your clients finish the 28 days? Because that's a commitment right there.
Everyone. Yeah. No, it's
everyone.
It is, Joyce, it is unbelievable. The results that the whole premise of the program is that you will get visible, measurable fitness results in 28 days, or you get your money back. And after the 28 days, 97% of the people who have taken it have said that the program changed their life. So it's not just about reducing the weight. Awesome. It's unbelievable because they have a whole mindset habit shift. It's one of the things they feel like, yes, the average weight loss is 12 pounds. Mm-hmm. Yes, I lost 12 pounds, but I also understand now how I'm going to maintain this lifestyle. And that is the missing link between that and almost any other program out there, which just gives you, recipes and workouts. I'm giving you recipes, workouts, and a progressive system of how to integrate this in your life with habits and how to ingrain it in your brain.
I just had a question pop in my mind because I know there are a lot of women out there that are very productive. They have work schedules. They have demanding lives. So what if it's like somebody that's she travels. So how does she adapt your program to her schedule? We have those that stay at home and work. We have those that travel. Many more people travel these days. How do we build that into our daily lives?
Yeah, so actually in the program, I have a whole thing on the best things to get at common restaurants. We have a travel guide on how to approach any menu. So the whole point is that not only do we tell you exactly what to do, so you don't have to really do any thinking, but we also teach you the why behind it so that you have the tools to go forward. And so you're never stuck thinking like, oh, what would Oonagh want me to do here? Because you understand the formula, and best of all, you understand your own body. Because when we go through the process, we gradually add in various food elements. So you understand what foods cause different responses in your own body. So it's like the whole process makes you an expert on your own body, which is amazing that we all get to the age that we're at. And most of us we don't know our bodies that well, especially when our bodies are changing as we get older. The body we thought we knew in our 20s is a very different body now, and we have to kind of reacquaint ourselves with that.
Right. Well, I think in some ways we're much more aware. Well, I'm going to say it this way. I think our food has changed. And so the makeup, the wheat, all of that. And so you've got those people that must have gluten-free. I need it, but not because of the intent. I don't get deathly sick. Some people do. They have an extreme reaction to it. And so, but I can feel it in my joints. So you must adapt your recipe, your menus according to some of those eating patterns, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, our program is gluten-free, dairy-free. We have a omnivore, vegetarian, and vegan version of it. So wherever you are in the plant-based spectrum, there's a spot for you. And and then if you have any other dietary restrictions, we have an on-call nutrition coach there for you the whole time.
Oh,
so,
that's right.
I mean, that's one of the sort of major unique things about the program is that you have at your fingertips a top trainer and a nutrition coach who's ready to make adaptations specifically for you.
Right. Yeah.
Which is something that, you're not going to get anywhere else, especially at the price point that I offer it. I was pretty reasonable for that.
Yeah. That's awesome. So your program is, now tell us about, it's a 28-day program and the offer that you want to give today, and I'm right in line with you, I think it'd be fabulous. Would you share that with my guests?
Yeah, I'm so excited. So thanks to Joyce, I'm excited to offer to your listeners, so my program, the 28-Day Transformation Challenge, which has 100% five-star Google reviews. I normally offer it for $297, but for your listeners, Joyce, I'd love to offer a $100 discount off that. So your people can get it for $197, which is a pretty great deal for a month of 24/7 support from a top trainer, nutrition coach, and getting this system, which you actually get for the rest of your life, by the way. You've got lifetime access to all of this. It comes with 12 workout videos. It comes with, all the recipes. And like I said, you get 3 different versions of the plan. And so it's like you've got this blueprint for the rest of your life. If you ever want to drop a little bit of weight, if you just want to hit the reset button with your health, you're going to have this blueprint for the rest of your life.
Oh, that's
and it works unbelievably well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like being able to go back and always, once you buy it, it's yours. You can always go back and claim it and put it into practice. That's a great offer. Really, it is.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Thank
and
you.
then
I'm
you
so
have
pleased to offer your
the
people.
guarantee, which is just whipped cream on top of the offer. Not that
well,
I want
the reason, and I know that guarantees in health and weight loss sound really cheesy, so I was kind of hesitant to do it. But the thing is that I have watched this work for thousands of people all over the world at all different, ages. I've got a 70-year-old, I think she's 76-year-old woman in my group right now who's just like amazing. And she's just completely come to life and she's so active and fun. She does it all in red lipstick. You would just love her. And I've just seen the transformation that this could have in people's lives.
Yeah.
People who needed a seatbelt extender every time they flew to now being someone, right? To now being someone who organizes charity walks at her work. Yeah. It is unbelievable the impact, because people think, it'll be nice to be able to fit into that dress again, but it's about so much more than that. It's about feeling like the person you really are. Right. And it's about showing up for your life, feeling good in your skin. And it is unbelievable what this can do for people.
Mm. So share with us how that makes you feel to know you're changing.
Oh my gosh.
Like that.
I mean, it's funny because, to be totally, I get a lot of emails from people saying, oh my gosh, because of you, I've lost 80 pounds. And that's wonderful to hear. But the fact is that, Joyce, it's not me. It's them. Like, I'm not the one eating vegetables when they want to be eating a burrito. I'm not the one doing the exercise when they'd really rather watch TV. It's them. So I have to give credit, although the program, it gives you everything you need, all the tools, all the support, and I make it as easy as possible. I clear away all the garbage about it. At the end of the day, I am just so proud of my clients who are actually making these changes in their lives. And I am so honored to bear witness to their transformation and their incredible spirit. And it is the most rewarding job. I absolutely love it.
Well, one of the things that I noticed in visiting your website and just hearing you talk today is how much enthusiasm you have about this. I mean, you're very confident it's going to work and that the people are going to stay with it. We've signed up for 1,000 programs, but
there's been over 1,000 people gone through. Yeah.
Key. It's not a difficult thing. It's a simple thing. It's a simple thing. We start simple. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's got to be simple. If it's too complex, people will fall off. And one of the stats I'm most proud of with this program is that, I'm sure you've heard before, when someone goes on a diet, there's a less than 1% chance that they are going to maintain that weight loss for over a year. That is the sickening fact of our weight loss industrial complex. But in my program, I have an 88% retention rate after the year. 88% of the people who lost weight on my program have kept it off for over a year, which is just mind-blowing in my industry. So that's what I'm so proud of and why I feel so confident that, I want people to do this so badly. It's like, when you're watching a horror movie and you are just screaming at the screen to be like, don't run upstairs. Or that's how I feel. I'm so passionate about people doing my program because I know it will work for them.
Well, the timing is perfect because we're moving into a part of the year that it's very difficult to not partake of all of those goodies that we see on the table or drink too many glasses of wine or whatever. And we really need to build up some of that confidence in focus. We're focusing. We need to focus, people. Now, this is what we want to be. And I would say even get a picture of yourself if you had a good one of days past. But actually seeing that body, how do you do any vision work or anything as a support? I mean, I'm always thinking I love my vision. I'm all about vision. So
I love that stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but this is just such a no-brainer to me. But anyway, so what is I know that you have a tremendous system. You have other coaches that support you, right, in this system?
Yeah, I do. I've got some of my veteran transformers. That's what I call my clients because it's the 28-day transformation challenge. So I have my veteran transformers, and they are sort of the people who've been there, done that. So there's a lot of, common questions or, how do I make this kid friendly? What do I do when I'm traveling? Things like that they are completely right on it, ready to help you, ready to show you some of the resources that I've pre-recorded for people. And they're cheerleaders too. If you did your workout, they will be the first ones to be like, oh, you're awesome. That's a really hard one. You're so good.
Yeah.
So yeah. And it's great
really
because it empowers them too. The best way to learn stuff is to teach it too. So it's great for them.
Oh yeah. It keeps them right on track for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Committed to the program. So what's the next step for you? I mean, this is awesome enough, but I know you're not going to sit still. You're going to keep growing. So.
Yeah, no, things have been incredible. I actually just won, I won 2018 Fitness Idol in Chicago just a few weeks ago, and I've got a book coming out. Thank you. Yeah, and I've got a book coming out probably in early 2020 or late 2019, and I'm super excited about that. It's exactly my methodology. It's a habits-based approach to getting lean and healthy and generally feeling amazing, and so I'm really excited about that release as well. And that's sort of what I'm really focused on right now is just having
those are two major things, getting a book. That's intense. Yes, but so beneficial. People like to have that available to get. So, Oonagh, I have to say this has just been a very brief hour for me. It's flown by. And I think for my listeners out there, we have provided so much common sense a program for them. And I really want them to go to www.fitfeelsgood and sign up.com.
Yeah, and you know what, Joyce, if they go to fitfeelsgood.com/Joyce, that's where they're going to get their $100 discount.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, that's the important part. So I really want all your listeners to benefit from the $100 discount. So certainly go to fitfeelsgood.com and surf around and check out all my, free resources and whether you connect with the mission that I'm on. Yeah. But certainly if you do feel called to make a huge change in your fitness and your body and you want my supervision on that, I would love to help you. And go to fitfeelsgood.com/Joyce and you will get $100 off.
Hey! So I have to say goodbye now. We have given so much good information here, and I want my listeners to come back next week. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Joyce. Bye.
Bye. Joyce Buford returns next week at this same time for another edition of Second Wind. Through the Joyce Buford Empowerment System, women are receiving support during their transition and are able to reclaim their true purpose and strength. They receive the tools they need to map out new lives. You can find out more about her coaching services at